Hi
Hello,
Scott,
mate.
how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, bud. I'm good.
Thank you for joining Millwall Fan TV for us today.
That's all right, mate.
Just going to ask
Are
quick,
we?
10 quick questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Is that okay?
Absolutely fine.
Thank you very much. So we'll get into the questions straight away. So first question, what was your favourite moment whilst at Millwall?
I think my favourite moment's a bit of an obvious one. It was
Yeah,
promotion in at Wembley, we won the playoff final against Swindon.
yeah,
Um, Great day, culminated in. Actually, that was probably my favourite day, but the favourite game was probably the semi-final before on a Tuesday night
yeah.
um, against Huddersfield. The atmosphere was just electric. That was my favourite game, but yeah, probably favourite moment overall will have to be the Wembley final and the playoffs in League One to get us to the Championship.
Yeah, especially after the disappointment the year before as well.
Yeah, very much so. I think we learned a lot from that. We I didn't actually play in that one. I was on the bench,
Yeah,
um, but we kept the nucleus of the squad together. Um, Added a few good new faces in Liam Trotter and Steve Morrison, a couple of others, Scoey. Yeah, we really thought we were going to win that. We beat Swindon a couple of weeks before in the playoff. In the league at home at the Den. We were really confident as a group. A couple of injuries leading up to the game, a few changes of positions, myself included. But overall, yeah, it was a great day and
yeah,
tight game, but we felt we deserved it.
yeah. I think we did too. Second question, in your time at Millwall, who was the best Millwall player you played with?
It's a tough question. That I mean, when I first signed, they had legends of the game already there in Neil Harris, etc. And that team was had some good players. As we went through the leagues, we obviously got some really good loan players who I don't really like to include, but the likes of Harry Kane and
Yeah,
Andros Townsend we had down, we really utilised that, and it's quite obvious to say Harry Kane's the best player I played with.
yeah,
Um, but I didn't know he'd go on to do what he did. Thought he'd be a very good player. But overall, we had some good. Like that season, we went up. Like I say, we added Liam Trotter, and he's a good friend of mine. I thought he was excellent for us, and went on to better things. Steve Morrison he also went on and was an excellent player, and obviously turned into a Millwall legend coming back.
yeah.
Zach Whitbread was a great player. Not a Millwall fan favourite, but a really good player, better than the level. So to summarise, I'd have to say Morrow, really, just for what he did and what he means to Millwall. On ability, no, certainly not in training. He was a terrible trainer. But overall, he delivered, in a Millwall shirt for the fans. And so I'd probably say him, to be fair.
Yeah, thank you. First question. You left Millwall 8 years ago now. What have you made of Millwall since you left, and what do you make of our playoff chances this year?
It's my local club. It's still the club I look out for first. Millwall fan, once you play for the club, you sort of get drawn in. So I followed it quite closely. I think after I left at a good time, really. Like my time there was coming to an end. I was playing a bit less and less under Kenny.
Yeah,
And they went through some tough times, some tough managers. Not going to speak badly about people, but went through some tough times, got relegated. And then probably since when Neil Harris came in and took over, it's been a bit of an upward curve ever since then, really, leading to promotion again, sort of replicating what we did. And now, Neil Fett was trying to move on and Gary Rowett coming in. I'd say it's been a pretty progressive overall 5 years, probably. I think that's
yeah,
fair. They look good. I think this whole pandemic's going to cause a lot of clubs a lot of unrest when they go back to playing. But I think Millwall as a team have always been quite a mentally strong team. I think they've got a good bunch of lads. I don't know a lot of them, and a couple, but they seem to have a good team spirit again and a good strong mentality. And I think mentality is going to be a big part. So I can't see why they haven't got a decent chance to go and make a challenge for it, really.
thank you very much. Question 4. Who was the biggest character in the changing room during your Millwall career?
We had a few, like I say, when I first joined, there was Neil Harris and Gary Alexander were probably big voices in the dressing room, big alpha male characters. We had a few more that came in the Championship. It gets a little bit more serious the higher up the league you go.
Yeah.
A bit more professional. I signed, what was it now? Probably 15 years ago, and it was slightly different. You got away with a lot more. There was a lot more pranks and stuff like that. So I'd probably say the two biggest characters at that time when I first joined and with the loudest voices were probably Neil and Gary Alexander, who I still speak to both now, actually, and both great guys.
Yeah, definitely. Question 5, what was it like to play under Kenny Jackett? Because obviously you played, your time at Millwall was predominantly under Kenny Jackett.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny was great for me. When he first came in, Willie Donaghy brought me to the club, but Kenny came in and he didn't really fancy me as a player. Didn't have too much of an opportunity to start with. I was quite a small size left back. He liked his fullbacks to be in a slightly more typical fullback mould. 6 foot plus. That was sort of his type. But I sort of won him round, or definitely won him round, and became a fixture in his side towards the end of that season. We got promoted, and certainly in the Championship for the first season and a half. And he was good to play with. He was never he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He doesn't come in and batter the lads, and he doesn't give you glowing praise as well. He sort of keeps a level head.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, tactically astute. I really enjoyed my time, and it wasn't since I retired that I realised that he was a really good manager. So I haven't really got too many negative. There were negative times, don't get me wrong, where I wanted to go and knock his door down when he wasn't playing me and stuff. But overall, he was a good manager.
Yeah. Question 6, you're currently working in sports management. If I'm right there, what does it entail, and do you enjoy it?
Yeah, so when I retired, I retired at 27 with an injury, and I wanted to stay in the game. Thought about the coaching avenue, and the thing as a professional footballer, you're always on your next contract. You never know where you're going to be. You're on like a year to year or 2 year, even 3 year contract, and you might have to go around the country. And if you're a coach, you might be sort of following a manager and his career. So unless you're the main man and a manager where you're making your own decisions, you're always it's at the expense of somebody else's decisions, really, and how well they do. So I didn't really fancy that. So sports management was something that interests me. I thought there was a lot that players can add, particularly the way that it was going in football, with a lot of social media and a lot more media out there, where there's a lot of avenues to enhance you as a player and a commodity, really. A lot of stats-based stuff coming into football, which I was really interested in, and I've got very much involved in. And a mentoring service to like younger lads as well, if they want to come through the systems. Obviously, I've been there as a player and didn't quite make it to the Premier League, but experienced a lot, so passed on that knowledge. And yeah, something I really enjoy. Is still very much in the game. I go to games. Obviously not at the minute, no one is, but still going to games, youth games to first team games, 4 or 5 times a week. Still very much involved in the game, really, which is the best bit about it. And yeah, really, really enjoy myself at the minute.
Thank you very much. Question 7, what do you / don't you miss most about playing professional football, and how do you think you'd fare in today's game?
I miss the changing room, the banter in the changing room. You're essentially getting up and you're going to see 20 of your mates every day, really. I got on with most people. Had my best mates in the game, obviously, who I got on better with, but enjoyed everyone's company, enjoyed the camaraderie. So you miss that. I don't miss pre-season. I don't miss having to watch exactly what I eat and what I drink and stuff like that. It's quite a nice bit to come out of. But the biggest thing you miss is probably the competitive element. I think it's built in sportsmen. It's what they love, really. So that's the biggest thing I miss. How I'd fare today. I thought about this. It's tricky, really, because as a fullback, I was an attacking fullback. So the game has progressed very much for fullbacks in that avenue. Like, they're very much a more of a focal point, and there's a lot more emphasis on the attacking element of fullbacks nowadays, which was certainly my strength. Defensively, I was much better going forward than I was defensively as a fullback, because I was a converted midfielder originally. So I think in that respect, I'd probably be better. I'd have the ball more in advanced areas, etc. However, the game's so physical now. Like the Championship, the Premier League's gone up a level. Everyone's just machines and monsters and fast, and so physically, I don't know how. I watch Championship games now, and I think they're a lot more fast paced, even in the last 5-6 years since I retired. So the pace of it, I think you adapt to your surroundings. So maybe I'd have grown up a little bit more, adapt to that. But certainly the pace that I played at and the Championship games that I played at are a lot slower than they are now. So I really don't know. I might have struggled with that aspect, to be honest. I think technically I was certainly good enough. But physically, maybe not. I'd have had to have become a little bit quicker, a little bit more powerful. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. I think everyone thinks their era was as good, and technically, I don't think our era was behind at all. But maybe just physically, it certainly is.
Yeah. On to question 8. You play in quite a few positions. Obviously, going back to your midfield, being converted from a midfielder. What was your favourite position and why?
Well, as a kid, I was a centre midfielder. Started at Ipswich in the academy, and all the way through, I was a central midfielder. I enjoy everyone enjoys playing midfield. I think you get a lot of the ball. But it wasn't until Joe Roll was the manager at Ipswich and I had a reserve game, and he put me left back in a reserve game. It was against Portsmouth. And being left-footed, sometimes you get shunted out to left midfield or left back, and that's what happened. And to be honest, never looked back. Left back was from then on my main position. But I also had that ability to be able to fill in left midfield, right midfield sometimes, and obviously right back on occasions, which came later on in my career. So the adaptability helped. Probably didn't help in terms of nailing down a position. I think for a young pro, it's kind of important to nail down a set position, whereas I was seen as maybe a utility man who was just slightly better at left back than any other, which might have been to my detriment. But that was certainly the position that I favoured, and I think in today's game it would suit me a lot more. But yeah, I consider myself a left back who could play in other positions, really.
Thank you. Into question 9 now. What is your opinion on current Millwall manager Gary Rowett?
Yeah, well, I think I don't know him personally. I've spoke to him a few times, but I don't know him personally. But I think he seems very honest and clear in his ideas that he wants. I don't think it's too much of a... I think when Neil left, there's always a scare that you might go completely down a different route. But, with the style of football nowadays, I think there's a certain manager that has to sort of understand the values of Millwall and the Millwall fans and what they demand out of players. And I think he gets it from what I've seen in interviews. And I think he's honest. And I think, a lot of fans can see through someone who's not. I think he gave an interview. I remember watching the West Brom game when Millwall got battered really at home in a really bad weather game on TV. And he came out and he was honest and said they got beat well and fair. Didn't dress it up. He said it how it is. I think everyone watched the game and realised it. And I probably thought then, he gets that. He gets that side of it. And I think he's maybe changed a few things. Formation's changed a little bit. Maybe playing a little bit more out from the back than previously. But not wholesale changes. I don't think it needed wholesale changes. I think it just needs a few additions. And I think it's been a positive start. I think overall it's been a good appointment and a positive start. It's too early to say that he's done great things because he hasn't yet. So we'll see.
Yeah. And finally, into the last question. If Millwall were promoted to be the Premier League this year, would we need to rebuild and bring players in, or do you think our current squad will be able to stay up? If not, what areas do you think we need to strengthen in?
Yeah, tricky. I mean, there's our... Sheffield United went up and have adapted unbelievably well, but there are the other ones who've gone up. Norwich have struggled. They're playing the same way they played, and Villa are struggling, could go down. I think Millwall will have a style of play which will be different to the Premier League, and a lot will depend on the home form if they did manage to get there, and how much the fans can intimidate the opposition, because they do when they get behind you. I think they'll certainly need some additions. I think it'd be naive to think they don't. Pace probably is an area that I'd look at that Millwall squad, and I think there needs to be pace in wide areas, forward areas probably added to that. I think every club knows they're going to have to make additions. I just wouldn't say it'd be wholesale changes. I don't think they'd be able to afford to do that, and it probably wouldn't be the fair on the players that get you to that as well. Like, I think you've got to keep the nucleus of the players who get that and give them the chance to prove they are good enough to play there. But yeah, like, who knows? Who knows? But certainly some additions, and I think pace is probably the area that I would be looking to add to in a Millwall squad, if I had to say.
So thank you, Scott, for joining us. That just about concludes the interview. I've enjoyed it, and hopefully my viewers will too. And good luck for the future.
Top man, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank
Thank you.